Warning: the following podcast, which contains strong language and mature content, is unsuitable for children or for the faint of heart. The subject matter discussed will be frightening and graphic in nature. Listener discretion is advised.
When you wanna hear about the paranormal, you get the Spooked Girls. True crime that makes you hypothermal. With the 3 Spooked Girls, stabby snippets will give you dreams. Tara and Jessica will make you along with the Spooked Girls. Bring on the slaughter. We on that haunted ground. The 3 Spooked Girls.
Hey there, Spooksters, and welcome back to another episode here on 3 Spooked Girls. My name is Jessica, and as always, I'm joined by my favorite gal pal, Tara.
Hey, Spooksters.
This week, we are going to be doing a recap of one of the Diddy documentaries. So if you're like, wait, I watched that Diddy documentary and this isn't the same, you might be watching the TMZ one on Tubi. This is going to be the one that's on Hulu. But before we get into that, if you want to hang out with us on social media, you can do so by heading over to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads. Tara's on Substack. So pretty much if you want to get a hold of us on any kind of social media, we are on there. Our handle for most of that is at 3 Spooked Girls. I'm just going to say we have a link tree. It's all in the link tree. So if you ever are like, hey, I can't remember what they said their handles were, just go to wherever you're listening to the episode, go to the link tree, click it. It will take you to all of the magical places that 3 Spooked Girls can be found at.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't think I mentioned this. So something I decided, I didn't really mention it. I just did it. So I decided on my Substack at the end of each month is the 3 Spooked Girls newsletter. So it's going to be like episodes we did and things like that. And then maybe eventually we'll add some more stuff to it. But I just did the first one for last month. So there'll be one at the end of this month. And I was going to say something I learned. Maybe this is just me like super late to the party. But on Substack, like say someone wanted to only sign up for the 3 Spooked Girls newsletter, not my whole Substack, you can do that.
Oh.
Like if you go to that section, you can subscribe to that one only. So I thought that was really cool.
Love it. If you want to hang out with other like-minded spooksters, we have a wonderful Facebook group. It is 3 Spooked Girls Official, which now if you've listened to multiple episodes, you know that that's what I think Facebook is good for now, is just the groups. We also have a Patreon. If you want to help support the show, it is patreon.com/3 Spooked Girls. For little as $1, you get a bonus episode a month. $5 and up, get ad-free episodes, and those go up the day before. So if you are, if you're jonesing for your next 3 Spooked Girls episode and it's a Monday or it's a Sunday or a Wednesday and you're like, I want this,
do it.
Be a patron. Definitely. Tara is on TikTok if you like true crime and just kind of all sorts of fun stuff. She does a lot of stuff over there. She did a collab, or she's been doing a collab with Lifetime on like From the Headlines, these movies. And I will say, like, I've been like, ooh, I have a very long list of movies to watch now because Tara has kind of reviewed them, and I trust her, and you should trust her and her movie watching abilities, because I mean, unless it's me and it's a horror movie, then that's just because I'm scared. But like generally she picks great movies, so it's all good. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Do we have anything else?
Riverdale? I thought you said Riverdale. I was like, what do you mean Riverdale?
I said, do we have anything else?
No.
Real fast, just Riverdale.
I swear to God, that's what I thought you said. And I was like, are you trying to ask to do a recap show on this? I'm very confused with that.
Yes, this is the moment I decided to ask you.
Just out of all the random ass fucking shows, Riverdale.
Riverdale.
Oh my God.
Which isn't out of pocket for either one of us, so it's fine.
I mean, eventually there is a cult in there with Chad Michael Murray as the cult leader. So it's not like super off-brand. And then I think Cheryl's a witch or something, because there's like a crossover with Sabrina. Like there's all kinds of crazy shit. Like Riverdale's so fucking crazy. So crazy.
There's also the true crime aspect of like Cheryl's brother who gets murdered.
Yeah, in the first episode. Mm-hmm.
and then there's like literally a killer. We could do that.
I mean, we're just going to start having multiple shows, guys. You'll just find all of them here. It's fine.
It's fine. Well, anyway, let's dive in to this crazy episode. So this is Diddy's downfall. ABC News did this. It's Impact. I think that's their there's a bunch of different ones.
I watched a few. They're pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah, it suggested I watch the downfall of TikTok or something. And I was like, this feels premature.
Right. I watched the Natalie Holloway one.
Oh.
And then I was watching part of the Ruby Frankie one too. So there's all kinds. I like it. But this one is on Diddy. So it's Diddy's downfall. You can watch it on Hulu. That's where I watched it. Me too.
I'm assuming you could also watch it on, if ABC has an app, I'm sure you could watch it on their ABC app. It starts off and it is kind of like describing Diddy, and they're like describing him as a mogul and powerful and as a hustler. And I was like, why are we using such positive terms for a man we're going to just basically talk shit about? But I was like, oh, okay, I get it. They're setting it up, which is great. It's really interesting because Diddy has been basically, since I have been conscious of music and understanding and developing, he's been a part of my musical journey because unfortunately I was like, I'm watching this documentary and I'm like, I love all of these songs so much.
Oh my God, yes. It makes my heart hurt so much because there's certain songs that mean so much to me. And I'm like, I can't like you right now.
I know.
Or ever again.
Right. I think it's interesting. One of the guys in there, I didn't catch his name, but he calls Diddy's mark on society is he is irreplaceable to America's pop culture. And at first I struggled with that. And I was like, fuck that. Fuck Diddy, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, he's not wrong.
No, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, we'll get into it, but when you think of Biggie and Tupac, Diddy's right there. When you think of big ass celebrities, and their growth, Diddy's there. We'll talk about the white parties and stuff. I mean, I assumed weird shit was happening at Diddy's white parties, but I didn't assume that kind of stuff was happening at Diddy's white parties.
Oh, right.
But they were iconic. They were if you were a celebrity, it was oh, you got invited to a white party, you've made it.
Yep.
It literally was considered a sign of success to be associated with Diddy. And I think that's why a lot of people, I'm going to say right now, are getting caught in the Diddy net, if that makes sense. I don't know their innocence. I haven't looked into it, but a lot of people just by association are being pulled into, and I'm like, okay, well, we all should take a deep breath and realize that successful people, even if they're bad people are attracted to success.
Yeah.
I mean, I think back to watching the original making of the band. Isn't it Danity Kane is the name of the band?
Yeah.
Those girls were this is something I'll never forget my entire life. I was watching this and I remember this girl was dancing in this, he was judging them and he literally made her go change her lipstick.
Yeah.
And she was like, what's wrong with it? Is it not a great color? And he's like, I don't like lipstick. I like gloss. I like girls with juicy lips. And from that point on in the show, she never wore anything but gloss. And all of the girls. And then it was a cultural phenomenon that all of these women, that's when gloss really had a resurgence.
Yeah.
So Diddy literally shaped the way that we saw culture.
Yeah, he's got his hands in so many different parts of pop culture and just American culture in general, because the other business ventures he took, I'm he's covering his bases to get in every single door he can get into.
Which is smart.
And that's the thing too, is think about it. He's not going to show his true self to a liquor deal. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. He's not going to act like that in front of them. He's not stupid.
He is not.
That's unfortunately what happens with people like him.
Right. So Diddy has kind of started his fall from grace, let's say, truly, because over the years, all of the shit that's coming out about him now isn't new news.
Yeah.
This is just people are oh shit, because in 2006, he was dating a woman, an artist by the name of Cassie, who I was oh my God, I love Cassie. I loved her music.
Same.
They had been dating for a long time. And really, when you think about it, they were dating since she kind of became an adult, around 1920.
And they dated for over 10 years.
Because they started dating in 2005, 2006 era. And then I can't remember, they broke up, in 17, 18?
Something like that, yeah.
And just to say, just so that everyone knows, I'll bring it up again in this episode, but in November of 2023, she sues him. It goes public that she has filed this suit against him. And within 24 hours, the suit has been basically settled and she's gotten a payout, which is why she's just so that you know, because people are like, why isn't Cassie in this? She probably can't be. She probably signed an NDA.
Right.
That kind of stuff.
Right. Because we did go through that affidavit. I can't remember if, I think she did settle by the time we recorded that. I can't remember, but I know we did. We did talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would make sense. Like, you know, with her getting the settlement or whatever, it's like you can't profit off this. You can't publicly talk about it, you know, or they would take the money back. Like that's probably what the stipulation was or something.
Or there's a time frame on it. There's probably like you can't say anything for like 5 years, or you can't say anything for 10 years or something like that, to the point where like it gets him past like a certain point in time where people will have forgotten about the lawsuit. So even if she comes back, it'll be a very easy PR. She's just trying to get more money out of the situation.
Right. Because that's kind of like, that's what he was doing with some of the other victims that came forward. They were, you know, being like, why was this so long ago? Like, you know, all this shit, when he was trying to, you know, make them look like they weren't credible.
Exactly. So at this point in the documentary, they like show, it's a very famous video at this point. I'm pretty sure you would send it to me via TikTok, or I sent it to you via one of us send it to each other.
Yeah.
And the first part of it is you see him, he's in a towel and he's running down a hallway, and he runs up to this woman who is Cassie. She's at the elevator, like she's got a hoodie on, she's got jeans on, she looks very casual. She's got 2 bags, and he grabs her by like the top of the hoodie and like throws her to the floor, starts kicking her. He like hits her a few times. And an extended version of it, like he goes and sits down and like actually like throws a vase at her. And then she's just laying on the ground. And then like he gets up and like drags her down the hallway to like their room. And the first time I saw, I'm going to just out myself. When I first saw it, I was like, girl, why are you just laying there? But then I realized she's been in a relationship with this man for over, like at this point, over 10 years. And she is conditioned. She knows that what's about to happen to her is worse unless she complies. And then I thought, wow, he's in a towel, which means this woman is in so much pain and in so much, she waited till he was in a vulnerable situation, like getting in the shower or in the shower to try to run away. And I was like, oh my God, how did no one see that and go, that woman needs help? She's a victim. She's not going to get, like, unless she has the right resources, she can't just walk out.
Hell no. Like, honestly, it's like, that's probably why she was there for so long.
Well, you think about it, like we meet a person in the documentary. Her name is Tiffany Red. She was working with Cassie. Actually, she starts talking about it like right after the video. She comes into the documentary. When you think about it, Diddy hired her to work with Cassie to write an album, and Diddy is producing it through Bad Boy Records. Diddy controlled every aspect of Cassie's life. It was her income, where she lived, her relationship. It's not like she could have probably just like walked away and had a career. Because like at this point, this isn't like in the 90s when she could have probably defected and gone to like Death Row Records. This is like 2016, where Diddy kind of like controls pop culture.
Yeah, for sure.
They're talking about this video coming out and how before this, people really would be like, no, Diddy is not like that. Yeah, maybe he's a little aggressive, he's a little aggro. But now it's like, well, now his credibility is shot because it is clearly Sean Combs running down the hallway. It is clearly Cassie he throws onto the floor. There's no way hiding it. They talk about, there's so many layers to this, because then they go and they start talking about the fact that like his other form of abuse that he does with his partners is these things called freak offs.
We talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Where he basically hires sex workers to like have sex with his partners. And if it's consensual and it's not illegal, like that's nobody's business. But this doesn't sound consensual, and it does not sound, and it's not legal.
No. Yeah.
Just putting that out there. After that video came out, he actually had to sell like his majority stake in his media company, Revolt. Yeah. He became, right? He became literally like the pariah. Like nobody wants to do business with you. You're bad business.
No, because he's a piece of shit. And it's like, well, it's all out there now, so I don't got to be scared of you and I don't have to work with you. Like that's what it's started to become.
Right. Like Diddy used to be real good for business. Now Diddy real bad for business.
Yep.
Diddy then goes online, and because this came out in like April, this video, and he goes on Instagram and he apologizes. And I watched the whole thing. It's not very long. It's like maybe 20 seconds long, maybe a minute. It's not very long at all. And what he's saying to me is the modern day excuses. It is the Dan Schneider. It is the Harry Weinstein. It's the whole like, or Harvey Weinstein. It's the whole crazy lot of these men who are like, I understand that I did something bad and I was in a bad place. So I'm really sorry that I hurt these people, it is the modern day excuse for I did shit and now I got caught. Because Diddy, if you're really sorry about it, you'd have said sorry in 2016. You'd have said sorry when Aubrey came forward and was like, these are the things that he did to me. But no, the only reason you're saying sorry is because there's literally a video of you where your towel almost falls off because you're abusing a woman. He was like, I was fucked up. I was in a dark place. I'm taking full responsibility. Sir, if you were taking full responsibility, you would be in jail because you assaulted a woman and you should have turned yourself in then, but you didn't. Tiffany Reed talks about how like he personally traumatized her. Like there's an intimidation factor. Like the songs that they were kind of writing were about like being abused. And Diddy walked up to her and was like, oh, you're the one who's writing those songs about me. And like tried to like intimidate her. And she said, she was intimidated.
Yeah. I mean, I feel most people would be.
When I was, just so that everyone knows, when I watch documentaries for this, I watch it once, no notes. And then the second time I watch it back through, I take notes. I just want to say, like, the photos in this part of it, Cassie looks so much like J-Lo. Like, you can just tell that he, like, thought J-Lo was, like, the it girl. And he really took her from, like, just the way her face starts looking. And then, like, after she's with Diddy, like she starts looking like her own person. But like during their relationship, she looked a lot like J-Lo. Like I mentioned earlier, Diddy and Cassie met in 2005 when they started working together and she was signed to his label. They bring up, the interviewer asked Tiffany Red, did you ever see the abuse? And she talks about her, it's a very famous 29th birthday. And basically Diddy was like yelling at her. His security had her like pinned in a corner and he was like in her face. Tiffany said she couldn't hear what was being said. It was very much like very aggressive. And I guess Tiffany was kind of like, or not Tiffany, like Cassie was looking at Tiffany like, oh my God, like you're seeing this. And when they were like, well, what was this about? Or they asked Tiffany about like the freak off thing. She's like, that's what it was about. Because Diddy said to her, tell your girl she wants that birthday dick. And I'm like, sir, that's so weird.
Yeah.
That's not something that like a healthy mindset of a person says at an open place. Now, let's say that you guys have a funny sense of humor and you guys are like, it's like an inside joke or something like that. And it's not meant viciously. Like, I'm not trying to like be like, oh, people who say have sex jokes are wrong. That's not what I'm trying to say. But like, this was clearly like almost a violent act of saying it. So it's not good. And Tiffany was like, who's going to believe us? Because people, we're going to get into it. People have spoken out about this and people don't never believe them. Like we mentioned earlier, Cassie's lawsuit filed in November of 2023 was settled 24 hours after. It's an interesting thing because this is true. In like the 90s or the early 2000s, when Diddy had something come out, he just had to have a PR rollout. It doesn't so much work now because we have screen grabs and receipts and the internet for it's good and bad. And some of the great things that it does is it captures receipts forever and people will post those and like on a mission, like, no, this person is bad. And it's one of the things I love about the internet. It definitely helps people stay accountable. Like you really can't go out and do something super shady these days and not expect someone to catch you, especially if you're a celebrity. So don't do shady shit, celebrities, because we all can see you now.
Right.
A thing that they show Tiffany is they talk about the video and then they say like a few days later, this is a video of them. And I think it's really interesting because she hits the nail on the head. She's like, this is show business. It's a show. Because just days after the 2016 incident that's captured in the hotel, Cassie and Diddy are out looking like, they said it in the show, they look like celebrity royalty. Her dress was beautiful. But, you know, they're out and about. And so, like, from the outside world, we have no idea what's going on because that video didn't go viral.
Mm-mm.
Then they shift to a different lawsuit that has been filed by a producer by the name of Rodney Jones, or as his other handle is named is Little Rod. He worked for Diddy on his Love album, which is his most recent album that came out. And he wrote about 9 songs. Little Rod said that Diddy, it's seeming very personally, groomed him, drugged him, and SA'd him. And that he would bring in sex workers to like make Rodney have sex with. Though they didn't say it, I have a feeling that Rodney is probably straight. And it was very much like he was being forced to have sex with men. This is a side note, but like as Tara was watching this first, she literally texted me and she's like, they said butthole. And I was like, but she sent me a screenshot and I was like, there's nowhere on there that does it say, on that screen, does it say butthole? And I was in public and I was like, it doesn't say butthole. This is the life I live. But literally, it says that Lil Rod is saying that P. Diddy essayed him personally and touched his genitalia, including his butthole, and that there are videotapes of this, and that they're kept in either in his LA or his Miami home. Also that there are fanny packs. Specifically, they mentioned like Prada. And I was like, this is a very expensive fanny pack full of drugs.
I mean, he's a billionaire.
I was like, I'm pretty sure the fanny packs are just as expensive as the drugs inside the fanny packs. So I was like, and I want to say this, like, I don't believe people should be out there breaking laws because I think people should obey the laws. But if you're doing drugs of like consent, like you're consenting to it, I understand. That would be a very cool thing to be in someone's house and like, your valet walk up and be like, oh, here's my fanny pack full of drugs.
Here's my Prada fanny pack.
Here's my Prada fanny bag. I kind of wish it was Gucci because then I could say it was not Gucci. And that's kind of like the vibe that was there, is that there were always drugs ready. And like, that's what they're saying. Like right down to like, the chef had to wear a fanny pack full of drugs. So like Diddy always had drugs around people. And I would just be like, could you imagine getting that job? Like you're a chef and they're like, and here's your uniform. And they're like, oh, my chef coat, my pants, fanny pack full of drugs. You guys can't see. I literally just mimed that.
Honestly, I'm sure they had very strict like NDAs because that's wild.
Also a lot of money.
Oh yeah. Compensated well too. Yeah.
I'm sure, like, if at that point you're like, they raid our house and I'm wearing the fanny pack, I'm going, because this is like enough to distribute. It's like possession to distribute at that point.
Yeah.
Rodney also talked about one particular party in his lawsuit where there were like a bunch of women brought in, sex workers, and a lot of them were underage, and was said that they were forced to drink alcohol that was laced with ecstasy. Like at that point, they're fucked up. And whatever is about to happen to them is not consensual. Granted, it's not consensual to begin with because they're minors. But once you add in like a drugged element to this, like...
it's just bad upon bad upon bad.
Right. I guess the other thing is that Diddy has not paid Rodney what he feels he's owed for his work. 9 songs on an album is a lot because those like albums are like 15 songs. Mm-hmm. So like that's half of your album someone has like contributed on.
Right.
You should be paying them a lot of money. But according to Diddy's lawyer, Sean Hallway, I think is the name of how we say it, Rodney was compensated correctly and he's just out for a bigger payday. And the thing is that the specific, I get why they say that because Cassie sued him for $30 million and Rodney's suing him for $30 million. But I have a feeling that's kind of like they're suing for the max they can sue and that's the number. Like, I don't think it's like they're all sitting around like, let's all sue him for $30 million.
Let's just pick this random number.
No, I have a feeling that like they probably like an attorney sat down and goes, okay, well, like these are the things we're suing him for. This is the largest amount we could get for each one of these things.
This is the max. Yeah.
And it just kind of, Diddy's shitty. So
that should be merch. Diddy is shitty.
Oh my God. I was like, if I wouldn't get in trouble from taking like the South Park version of Diddy. And Diddy is shitty. Okay, it's gonna happen. You guys we'll figure it out. Maybe I'll make it look really pretty.
Oh my God, yes.
And then in the documentary, they go in to start talking about what has happened recently, which is if you've paid attention, since like April, they simultaneously raided both his Miami and LA home because they wanted to make sure that no one could go in and destroy evidence, like move stuff. We've seen this recently happen in other cases. And granted, Diddy was at neither one of these houses, which was funny because this is like where that plane thing came in. They were like searching his house and then his plane took off, flew, to Puerto Rico and then came back, but Diddy wasn't on the plane.
Yeah.
It was like, first of all, who did they sneak out of the country?
Uh-huh. Or what?
Or what? Oh, yeah. Or what?
You never know.
Maybe all of his really damning evidence was on his plane, which would make sense.
Yeah.
Because then it's in the air and then
gone wherever it's hidden.
And bye-bye. And then the next part of this is they go into the history of one Sean Diddy Combs. So he came up, he has bad boy records. He was an integral part of the Biggie Tupac War of Words.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really interesting because we have recently had another War of Words come out with Drake and, why am I brain?
Kendrick.
Thank you. Kendrick Lamar. And I'm just like,
interesting.
Let's not repeat past, guys. Like, let's keep guns out of this.
Yeah.
Oh, this was like where my heart got sad because I love this song. I'll Be Missing You.
Yes, that's what I was talking about. Yes.
Right? Because I liked Biggie. I know I'm a West Coast girl and should have been Team Tupac, and I was Team Tupac, but I also just was like, I like music. I was like, I don't know, a 12-year-old or 10-year-old girl. Seemed to music I probably shouldn't have been listening to.
Probably not, but
It's fine. So Tupac dies, and then 6 months later, Biggie dies. Back then when his name was Puff Daddy. He and Eve, who was Biggie's widow, they recorded the song I'll Be Missing You. And it was the top of the charts for 11 weeks on just the top of the charts, not just hip hop. Everyone loved it. Mm-hmm. Then it talks about how he went in and started mentoring Usher. They kind of go through Usher lived with Diddy when he was 15 and was around the lifestyle. And this is how you know Usher has had some really good media training, because when he's on Howard Stern, which people go on Howard Stern and say weird shit all the time. So it wouldn't have been out of pocket for him to just kind of tell Howard Stern, I saw all this weird shit. But he's like, I was there, so I don't know. And I'm sure he's thinking well, I was there, so I don't know if I can be held accountable for this. But Howard asked him, would you let your kid go to Puffy Camp, is what they called it. And he was like, absolutely not. Then they cut to Justin Bieber when it was this thing where they did the 48 hours with Justin Bieber. And Justin is 15. So they're talking about, he's like, oh yeah, we're going to be doing stuff we can't disclose what we're going to get into. And just the look on Justin's face where he looks at P. Diddy for a second is just kind of terror. What the fuck are we about to get into? I mean, I think we've kind of heard what is that song of his that's recently come out? And
oh my gosh, I can't remember.
It'll come to me later. People speculate that song is about an abusive situation that happened around P. Diddy. But Sean Combs was part of Justin's kind of he was part of his success because he's the one who mentored Usher. Usher is the one who mentored Justin Bieber. Hopefully the crossover wasn't too crazy. Then they start talking about how Sean Combs got Sean John, which is his clothing line. I had Sean John. My younger brother was big into Sean John. I think I had one of his perfumes when I was younger. I don't think it was the one that was on the documentary, but I definitely had one. But it was a big deal. And this is the thing. Every time I watched this documentary twice, and when they're showing his Sean John clothes, it's he's in Macy's or something like that. And he's standing in front of his clothes and he's in this black and white sweater. I'm like, fuck you. I like that sweater. Stop being in things I like. Then he landed 2 liquor deals, 1 vodka, 1 tequila. And they say these 2 deals with him launched his money into billionaire status, which is smart. And he kind of says this, the interview says, I pick the clothes, or I design the clothes that you put on to go to the bar, to drink the vodka that I support, to play the music that I make. He literally, your whole Friday night, Sean Diddy Combs. And a lot of people who are influential and that do bad things, they also do good things. He did the vote or die thing. And this is why Leonardo DiCaprio, which he's problematic in different ways.
He only dates people who were born in the 2000s.
Really sketchy, Leo, stop it. And, Obama, they show Obama on here, which is kind of there's this credibility to him that people need to realize is the reason why he got away with being an abuser for so long is that he projected confidence and accountability and even though he's this hip hop mogul, he's still kind of straight-laced looking, and then they have his white parties. And this is the part that this is the part that pissed Tara off is super much. He's on Ellen, who's also problematic in different ways. And she's interviewing him and she's talking about oh, you have parties that start at 12 p.m. And he goes, oh, those are a different kind of party.
No, midnight, not 12 p.m.
Sorry. 12 a.m. 12 p.m. is fine. You can have a party that starts at 12. You can have a party that starts at both times. I don't care. The 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. ones are a little bit so what are you doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's oh, those are a different kind of parties. And he's all laughing and shit. And it's just he's telling on himself, clearly. And that's just one example. There's multiple examples of this. You already mentioned the Justin Bieber one.
Right. I mean, people do this is when they get powerful enough, they leak little bits of the kind of grimy bits of themselves out because people will just auto scrub it. It's we hear that and I immediately thought, oh, they're just doing drugs and
Yeah.
having a wild orgy. Like that's what they were doing, but they were doing it the illegal way, not like the consensual, everyone throw your keys in a bowl kind of way.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that's the appeal of, dropping those little Easter eggs too, because they get some kind of excitement out of it because they're like, they think I'm joking, but I'm really telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so gross.
It is. Also, there are very consensual ways to do all of the terrible things he's doing.
Right.
He's just choosing to do them the terrible ways because of the power that it gives him.
Yep.
He paying for a sex worker to come to his house to sleep with his partner isn't like the one thing that a lot of people will be like, oh, he's a cuck or a cuckold. No, a cuckold is where like the partner observing has no say in it. He is dictating every single thing that's happening in that moment. And he is doing this because it's his power. If he says stop, everything stops. If he says continue, even though she's saying no, it still continues. They also go like deeper back into his past. They talk about how he came from Harlem, how he was raised by a single mom because his dad was killed. His dad was a drug dealer and was killed before Sean was 3. And, how he went to Howard University.
They rescinded his honorary degree. Ha ha.
I love when things like that happen. They're like, oh no, just no kid. Especially because like Howard University is an all-black college, and like to have risen that high from coming from nothing, essentially, they're like, look, we want to celebrate you. And then they're like, dude, why you gotta fucking do us wrong? And then he started interning at Uptown Records. He kind of grew up there and cut his teeth. And then he started his own record company, Bad Boy Records, is what we've talked about. At this point in the documentary, they show this video of Diddy where he's sitting behind a desk. He's wearing a Van Dutch shirt.
That was oh my God. When I rewatched it today, that was my first thought. I'm like, bitch, you're acting like this in a Von Dutch shirt. Sit down.
Sir, you were acting super dumb, and you're also wearing a douchey brand. So it's fine.
Yeah.
I guess you're on brand.
On brand, yes.
But he like literally is like on the phone, and like at first I'm like, did something bad happen? But then he stands up and he yells like, I'm a savage. I'm a savage. If I want to get things done, I got to do it. And he's like throwing shit around. And people probably in his life are like, oh no. Those like TikToks where they like someone like pretends to be like someone's assistant and they're like, oh no, like maybe let's not throw that, or that's not good. Or like they gentle parent that person. You're like, let's not throw. Someone needs to gentle parent him or just straight smack him. I don't know. One of the two.
He could just go to prison. It's fine.
He can get smacked in prison.
Sure. There we go.
No, let's face it. If he goes to fucking prison, they're going to be like, I'm in prison with Diddy.
Yeah, well.
But the reality is he probably won't see prison time.
Yeah. Or he'll go to Martha Stewart prison.
I'm just going to say.
No hate on Martha Stewart. No hate on Martha Stewart.
No. I want to say that is the ultimate. Martha Stewart fucked up. She did something illegal. Granted, she got way below what a normal person would get, but she still went to prison. She did some time. She got out and she hustled more. Martha Stewart, that's how if you commit a crime, you do the time. I wish Martha Stewart would have said that or had said that so I could say Martha Stewart says.
No, but like, exactly. It's like, you get to these levels and you do these horrible things. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like that's really rare that we see someone of that status go to prison, come out and, don't play that, oh, poor me, I was in prison. Like, just, yep, I had to do that. It's whatever. We're moving on now. Like we're moving on to, being a productive human.
Exactly. I also love that it gave her some sort of street credit so that she can be friends with Snoop Dogg.
Oh my God, that's my favorite thing in the world. I love it.
I know. It's like unlikely animal pairings, but it's like Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart. And I love, like, they had a baking show and it just needs to stay. I just feel like Snoop Dogg and Martha were like, I feel like she was like, hey, Snoop, here's how we could like get you more money and you don't have to do a lot of like work. We'll automate it. And he was like, bet, let's do it. It's the best pairing of all time.
Yes.
But back to the terribleness that is Diddy.
Back to Diddy.
They talk about Diddy's first kind of like run-in with the law or like lawsuits, which happened in 1991. He was holding a celebrity basketball event and more people were in the building than should be. And something happened and they all needed to get out. And 9 people were trampled to death and like 21 to 26 more people were injured. And basically for like 9 years, he was dealing with lawsuits from this. And it's like, dude, and he was at first the people in his life are like, oh, well, Diddy's not responsible for security and getting people out safely. You absolutely are. It's why you sign liability waivers to the places that you go, is that you're the responsible party. I know this. I do this for work. And then enter the J-Lo era, because this is about the time, oh my gosh. So he's still Puff Daddy, and then J-Lo and him start dating. J-Lo has her iconic white outfit with the bandana, Sean John on it, and then she wears the Versace dress, which that dress is
iconic,
pretty beautiful.
Yeah,
it is iconic. I feel like her and Diddy are on so many of the same levels because of the fact that he's like, I came from Harlem and I blew up. And then J-Lo, my rant about J-Lo is that I don't think that J-Lo's not a good person. If you've seen clips from her documentary and things like that, she literally tried to make Derek Hoffman? Not Hoffman. He's the dancer from
Isn't it just Huffman?
Huffman, that's what it is.
Or Houghton? Hoffman? I don't know.
Very
okay.
close.
Yes, something.
It's his fucking wedding, and she's tell him to move his wedding to
getting married,
to be in my fucking thing. J-Lo, you're not that important.
Right.
You've done one good thing, which was give us a Selena movie, and then what have you done? Your music, honestly, her music isn't that great.
She ain't even the one singing.
Right? The women from her community are stop telling people you're from the fucking Bronx. My favorite thing of all time now is that people are trolling her so hard about her fucking bodega order.
Still.
And it's so funny because it's actually gone into Bridgerton core now, where they asked Nicola Kaufman and Luke Newton, who play Penelope and Colin, what would their bodega order be? And she was like, oh yeah, because J-Lo's order was so basic. Mm-hmm. And it's just women are so fed up with that. They're stop saying that you're running up and down the streets of the Bronx. That's not who you were. Knock it off. Stop perpetuating us as these raggedy hoe bags. That's literally how J-Lo presents her life in the Bronx. And people are like, bitch, you went to private school. Shut the fuck up. I get downplaying to have a better glow up, but just shush now that people have outed that. Just stop trying to go back.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's because she's part of that old school, kind of old school celebrity who hasn't had to have social media in mind. So she's like, what do you mean you're calling me out instead of just fucking paying off somebody?
And I was kind of happy that her and Ben got back together because I loved them as a celebrity couple back in the day. But good, I'm glad they're breaking up, and I'm glad that she can't handle him fucking co-parenting. It shows what a terrible person she is, and it just I feel like her and Diddy deserve each other. They just deserve each other. Gonna be one big shitty couple. But Diddy and J-Lo get arrested on January 27th, 1999. They're at a club called Club New York. It's Diddy, J-Lo, and an artist called Shine. Shine is no longer in the United States. He's back in Belize. He's a politician. Don't feel too bad for him, but he also spent 9 years in jail, and I do feel bad for him. Basically, shots are fired. Shine runs out the door. He gets caught almost instantaneous. He has a gun. I feel like everyone had guns back then. It was the thing rappers had.
Yeah.
Diddy and J-Lo make it out a side entrance, and then they get about 2 blocks, and then they get caught. Diddy's I don't even own a gun. But dude, you had a gun.
But it's on you.
3 people were injured. None were killed, but 3 people were injured. The charges on Diddy were he was charged with gun possession and then trying to bribe his driver to take the weapon.
Bruh.
Those are your charges. You're guilty as fuck. All the charges are dropped. J-Lo is never even charged.
Mm-mm.
And the detective was I couldn't even put her in holding because of who she was.
Right.
So I put her in a room and she's talking. And I was I'm so mad because they cut it off what she was saying. And I was sir, ABC News, you gonna start a sentence? Fucking finish it, please.
Right.
I would like to know what J-Lo was saying and what her mom was yelling at her for. So
yeah.
Please and thank you.
Yeah. Put it on TikTok. Thanks.
Put it on TikTok. But Shine goes on. He's convicted. He spends 9 years in jail, gets out. He's deported to Belize. Now he's a politician. So he did have a glow up. We do feel better. I do feel better about that. He probably was don't fucking go to America. They will just throw you in jail and ship you back here. There's a woman by the name of Natanya who literally is I know Sean Combs did the shooting because he shot me in the face. And she's right here.
In between the eyes.
And I, between the eyes. And I was how are we not believing her? She got shot. And she's he shot me.
In the face.
Don't you think if Sean Combs, if P. Diddy at the time, or Puff Daddy at the time, because he hadn't had his glow up from Puff Daddy to P. Diddy yet. You think like if it was a different person, like if it had been Shine, she would have just been like, yeah, Shine shot me and he spent 9 years in jail. I feel vindicated. No, she's like, this motherfucker over here is out there making billions of dollars and I got shot in the face, which I'm pretty sure if you get shot in the face, you have lots of medical bills that you have to then go through. And you're not expecting that at any point in time.
Right. And plus whatever like side effects, like, you know, you have from it. Ugh.
Mm-hmm. He also was sued over an altercation he had with a producer. He and Nas were in a video where they were basically hung up on crosses like Jesus. And Diddy had a, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this because this is in poor taste moment. And he basically like started hitting the dude with like office supplies, like an office chair and shit like that. And they settled out of court. And then basically what happened, or no, nothing came of that. Basically, Diddy won and like his crucified ass was literally taken out of the video. Put it back. Put it back. If he did we're doing this. If you're doing the crime, do the time now. Somebody out there has video of Diddy in this situation.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
He also, there was another person. Oh yeah. Oh no, he was found guilty of these charges. That's right. Of this one. And he had to do 1 day in anger management. What the fuck are you learning in 1 day?
Nothing.
Hi, don't hit people. End of anger management.
And that's if he even actually went. Like, let's just be honest.
Someone went for him.
Right, for real.
He also was sued another time because basically he trying to get out of a contract or something, and he took a baseball bat and like threatened a dude. That one didn't go anywhere. He is currently or has been sued by a personal chef who said he SA'd him. I'm like, Diddy, keep it in your pants. It's not that hard. At this point though, that was in 2019, the chef thing. But in 2001, he did his glow up, as we talked about, his switch. He went from Puff Daddy to P. Diddy. And this is when he started like the Making of the Band series on MTV, which we talked about earlier. And Donnie, who won season 4, is on here. And, you know, what's interesting is that he said like Diddy would show up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, like wake them out of bed and be like, sing. And if you fail, you're gone. Which I'm like, I don't know about you, but I have morning voice. Would be terrible.
Right, exactly. But he's just unhinged.
Right. And then Donnie wins and he's like, so now this dude goes from being my judge to my mentor. And he says like the next few years of his life were a wild ride. Like he said at one point they were like in Vegas and they had about 4 hotel rooms and every single room had its own party going on. It was just like this crazy life. But he didn't see the level like the violence or the essay or anything like that. Or like, this is what he's really saying. I'm taking him for what he's worth, because he's like, honestly, like I would have believed Diddy until I saw the video. And then he goes, I 100% believe Cassie, because he knows how crazy Diddy's lifestyle is. It's not a stretch to be like, oh, this dude is so out of control.
No one's surprised. That's the thing. Like, nobody's surprised.
Not at all. In 2015, he was arrested and all charges were later dropped for getting into a fight with his adult son's football coach.
Mm-hmm. At UCLA, yeah.
Yeah, UCLA. And I'm like, okay, he took a kettlebell to this, like after this dude.
Right. What a psycho. Oh my God. Scary.
And I was like, not that any weight would be acceptable, but like, what weight did you grab?
Right.
Because they said deadly weapon. And I'm like, oh, sir.
I mean, even grabbing like a 5 to 10 pound, because you think it's a full grown man.
And swinging.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, just like the thought of him picking up like a little 2-pound one. My wrist. I don't know. He kind of starts going a little weird, like when Kim Porter died, because people were like, did he have something to do with it? And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't looked into it. He has 7 kids by 4 partners. That's just a fact they state in there. In 2021, 20 years after his last change, he rebranded himself again to Sean Love Combs.
Mm-hmm.
If you are already not mad, this is going to make you madder, because basically he was using the Me Too movement as inspiration. And this is truly like, they hit the nail on the head with the narcissist talk here. They're like, he is such a narcissist that he was talking about how the world is toxic, how hate is taking over, and we just need to love each other. Motherfucker, you're literally out there.
You're part of the problem.
Right. You're a big part of the problem. He was making the rounds and I probably saw some of this and I was probably like, not knowing, was probably like, dude, get it. Talk about it. Diddy could, like, because when you think about someone like Diddy, before we know like truly truly knew how terrible he is, you're like, dude, you lending your voice to this kind of a cause is going to be so great because people are going to listen and be like, wow, it's gangster to not hate people.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes a long way.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's obviously all a facade. He gets multiple awards, like Lifetime Achievement Awards. He gets the key to New York City, which he currently still has. Mr. Mayor, please take that back. You can rescind it. Just snatch it, snatch. Just cite Howard University. They took theirs. I took mine. Since November of 2023, he's had 6 more lawsuits filed against him. Good for these people coming out.
Yep.
A lot of the things is people are like, why are they coming after him like a lawsuit? But most of these are past statute of limitations. They can't file criminal charges against him.
Well, and I think we talked about it in the Cassie episode. There was that thing going on in New York that extended that, like,
right,
you can still like file, like it doesn't matter how long or between some, I can't remember exactly, but that's, you know, obviously why. And then it's also like, too, you have to think like this involves very powerful people. And then they saw Cassie stepped up,
right,
and, you know, did this. So it probably encouraged them like, oh, I can do this too, you know, like,
oh, for sure.
that kind of thing. So yeah, like a domino effect, which I'm like, good, pay out all the shit, you piece of shit.
There's a model that has come forward saying that she was drugged and then essayed by him. And then there's someone in fashion who also came forward. And basically she was kind of in an abusive secret relationship with him. Like he basically was abusing her and blackballing her and being like, if you tell anyone or if you don't do what I say, I'm going to basically make it so you don't have a job. And he had the power to do that. This isn't like an empty threat. If Sean Combs is like, this person should not work in the fashion industry, he has a huge fashion brand. People are going to be like, no, thank you. Unless it's someone who hates him enough that'll be like, I'm going to hire this person out of spite. But we don't see that happen so much.
Right.
Cassie had an album that she worked on and from 2015 to like 2016, and Diddy wouldn't let it be released. He owns those songs. He like his record company owns it. He basically like, that's how he kept her. It was like, you want a record, you got to do what I say. And probably she was like, look, I don't see the record coming. I can finally go.
Yeah.
You know, Tiffany's like, I want my time. I want my money back. I want my life back. Like that was time like I can't get back.
Yeah.
But she started a nonprofit called 100, and it's to basically help people in this who get in positions like Cassie, who need help to get away from these type of abusers, especially in this kind of industry. It's very niche to this, but it's also very important because in the last, I want to say decade, we've seen people who have been considered like pop culture icons. We're talking Bill Cosby. Harvey Weinstein was always a piece of shit and people kind of knew it, but he was super powerful. And these people are coming out and people are like, look at this. I mean, they just arrested Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yep. Sean Kingston recently too.
Like, it will not be surprising if in the next year to 6 months, we are looking at a slew of really famous people. Part of me wants to say men, but I'm going to say people who are going to all of a sudden get the shit just like kind of like snap, like knocked out of them in the industry because they're like we've talked about with the availability of how easy it is to post online. All people people live stream things now. Like these people aren't going to get away with it.
No.
There's 2 more points I want to make, and that is they said on the show there's going to be a pre-Diddy and a post-Diddy convictions. We are now on the precipice of the like end of the pre-Diddy. From now on, this kind of shit comes up. People are they're either paying fines or doing time. And I hope a lot of people are out there like making peace with their higher power and getting good lawyers because the best way to not do as much time is to name more names. The other thing that kind of hit me as they talk about the fact that like Diddy's previous work, his legacy is secured. We will always look back on a time where like Diddy ran pop culture and then we'll just understand it. And it kind of takes me back to how when we were talking about Leaving Neverland and how Michael Jackson, culturally, we joke. I don't want to say joke, but culturally, we understand Michael Jackson did terrible things to children. And, you know, it's become a joke in Hollywood and it's all this like everybody, it's the worst kept secret. But Michael Jackson is still one of the most beloved artist. His work is still very much considered, it's fantastic music. Diddy made fantastic music. Don't get me wrong. I'm not out here to be like, Diddy made shit music. That's not what I'm saying. But they're shit people. And I think the thing that we have to stop doing as a culture is like, once we realize someone's a shit person, we have to change and suddenly be like, you know what? We can't support the buying of this music, and it's kind of hard because Diddy was in everything. But like when you look at R. Kelly, people are like, we don't listen to R. Kelly anymore. We can do that with Diddy. It's going to suck. And suddenly like a lot of music is going to be gone. Just don't listen to Diddy songs. I always come back to why do people have to be this way? It is so easy to walk through life not doing terrible things. It's so easy. I do it every day. You do it every day. Our listeners do it every day. When if you just don't do the shitty thing, you don't have to cover it up.
Exactly.
I'm so glad there's more people in the world who don't do shitty things.
Yeah.
That kind of wraps this up. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Toodles.